Watcher to 6 actual. Target is in the main house. You have execute authority.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
How's it going, troops? Jordan here, back again with another Call of Duty Modern Warfare Loadout video. In today's loadout video, we are going to don our bobby helmets and batons and go out patrolling the streets of the UK to make sure people are staying indoors. Okay, so maybe we're not going to be your standard British police officer, but we are going to be an officer of the law and one of the highest order. Today we are going to be carrying out counter-terrorist operations on the streets of London and the rest of the UK as a counter-terrorist specialist firearms officer, or CTSFO, and put an end to potential plots that can endanger the lives of British civilians. Welcome to the Met, sunshine. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and without further ado, let's take a look at our mission briefing. This is going to be a class setup based on the UK's counter-terrorist armed police. We're going to be analysing intel and tip-offs to foil plotted terror attacks. And lastly, we're going to be using specialist firearms training to take out any potential threats against us. The CTSFO network was first established back in 2012 by the Metropolitan Police Service during the lead up to the 2012 London Olympics. The Met knew such a massive event would be a big target for the likes of terrorists and those who want to disrupt it. And so for the very first time, police firearm officers had a brand new tier created to prevent such attacks from happening and be there on the front line when attacks did happen. CTSFO stands for Counter-Terrorist Specialist Firearms Officer and is the highest authorised firearms officer rank in the UK. These officers train for months alongside firearms experts and the United Kingdom Special Forces in order for them to reach a near level that the Special Air Service is at. The CTSFO were heavily present throughout 2017, as we saw terror attacks like the Westminster Bridge and London Bridge attacks, as well as the Manchester bombing. The terror threat level in the UK had been uncritical for a number of years, but is currently unsubstantial as of 2020. In the Modern Warfare campaign, Sergeant Carl Garrick is one of the CTSF officers, who in the mission Piccadilly with his team, scout around West London on the lookout for any chemical bombs and potential terror threats. He requested an increase in armed police and snipers to take out any terrorists if an attack occurred, but his head refused to have an increased presence of armed police to avoid panicking the public. And unfortunately, this decision cost the lives of many innocent civilians and unarmed police as Al-Qatala attacked London by setting off a chemical explosive bomb and gunning down anyone they can see. In the aftermath of the attack, Garrick is fed up of following rules of engagement, a bit like Dominic Cummings, and informs Price of a terror cell he knew about, but was told not to take action as there was insufficient evidence. Garrick then joins Price to take down Al-Qatala and the Wolf, and the rest is history. Back to the real world, the CTSFO network vowed to protect the citizens of the UK at all costs, and they will certainly put an end to these attackers before the situation escalates and it's too late. So let's kick off this UK armed police loadout by taking a look at our primary weapon that we're going to be equipping. The British police use a variety of firearms from your basic MP5 variants to the G36. However, one weapon that is becoming increasingly used by firearms officers is the Sig Sauer MCX, and this weapon is in primary use by CTSFOs to conduct training exercises and real-world operations. The MCX is a German weapon manufactured by Sig Sauer back in 2015 and continues production into 2020 and beyond. One notable feature of this rifle is that it features a short stroke piston system, which increases its fire rate while minimalising recoil. In Modern Warfare multiplayer, we have the M13 assault rifle, which seems to imitate the MCX and its features, and so for that reason, that is why the M13 will be our primary weapon of choice. But of course we can't go in bare bones, so let's equip some attachments for our M13. For our first attachment, we're going to be choosing a laser, and the laser that I've gone for is the TAC laser. Lasers are commonly seen attached onto MCX rifles by CTSFOs, and one laser sight in Modern Warfare that increases our reflex skills is the TAC laser, which increases our aim down sight speed, our aiming stability, and even our aim walking steadiness. so we'll choose the tac laser as our first attachment. For our second attachment, we're going to be choosing an optic, and the optic that I've gone for is the Corp Combat Holosight. CTSFOs are always seen with an optical sight attached to the top of the rail. We could go with a cylindrical optic, which is seen used by some firearms officers, but I was recently watching a Ross Kemp documentary called In the Line of Fire, and in one scene we can see a small team of CTSFOs breaching a mock-up building in a training exercise, and they were using holographic EOTech optics while clearing rooms. So that's why I've decided to go with the Corp Combat Holosight as our second attachment. For our third attachment, we're going to be choosing a stock, and the stock that I've gone for is the M13 skeleton stock. Also, while watching the Ross Kemp documentary, I noticed the stock used on the 6-hour MCX was very identical to the M13 skeleton stock in Modern Warfare multiplayer. Plus, the M13 skeleton stock has the benefits of a faster aim down sight speed and an increase in our aim walking movement speed, and so that is why it will be our third attachment. For our fourth attachment, we're going to be choosing a weapon perk, and I've gone for Frangible Disabling. When dealing with the threat of terrorists, firearms officers have to make split-second decisions. If we encounter one of these terrorists and he has a knife or a gun coming right at us, we have to ensure the bullet damage we fire will have a great impact to leave the terrorist dead, or worst case scenario, badly wounded to the point his movement is slowed, and thus it makes it easier for us to kill the bad guy. So Frangible Disabling will be our fourth attachment. And lastly, for our fifth and final attachment, we're going to be choosing an underbarrel, and I have chosen the Ranger foregrip. This foregrip gives us an even greater control over the M13's recoil and further increases our aim and stability. Foregrips are usually seen on the 6-hour MCX by UK firearms officers, and the Ranger foregrip will be our fifth and final attachment just to replicate that. So those are going to be our attachments for the M13. Now let's move on to our secondary weapon of choice for this loadout. The Glock series of pistols are used throughout various police forces across the UK, and the Glock 17 or G17 is the most commonly used sidearm among all Home Office police forces. In Modern Warfare we have Infinity Ward's version of the Glock, and that weapon is the X16. Switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading, so we'll equip this exceptional firearm as our secondary weapon. And just like with our primary weapon, we can't go in bare bones, so let's equip some attachments for our X16 Glock. For our first attachment, we're going to be choosing a barrel, and I've gone for the Vanguard Elite. This cool polygonal barrel is seen on the 5th generation Glock 17, and this newer version is used by the Metropolitan Police Service and their branches. So we'll go with the Vanguard Elite barrel for our first attachment. For our second attachment, we're going to be choosing a weapon perk, and the weapon perk that I've gone for is Heavy Hitter. Being a CTSFO, there is a chance we might face a terrorist in close quarters, and so by equipping the Heavy Hitter weapon perk, we can bash our pistol over the enemy's head and stun him significantly so we can pin him down and arrest him. So Heavy Hitter will be our second attachment. And finally, for our third attachment, I've gone for a rear grip, and the rear grip that I have chosen is the Granulated Grip Tape. This grip tape increases our X16's aim and stability, as well as the pistol's aim walking steadiness, and aligns up nicely with our primary M13 rifle, and that is why the Granulated Grip Tape will be our third and final attachment. So those are going to be our primary and secondary weapons for this class setup. Now let's take a look at our perks and equipment that we're going to be selecting. For our first tier perk, we're going to be going with EOD. Armed police typically wear protective body gear and bulletproof vests, so they don't get shot to death when out and about stopping terrorists on the streets of the UK. The EOD perk has a protective armour image, and in game this perk helps us to deflect enemy explosive damage, so we'll go with EOD as our tier 1 perk. For our second tier perk, we're going to be choosing Ghost. The CTSFO network acts similarly to the Special Air Service, in that they could be walking next to you and you wouldn't have a clue. Counter-terrorist specialist firearms officers blend in with the crowds like assassins, and when terror strikes, they are on the scene within minutes of the first call, so we'll choose Ghost as our tier 2 perk to replicate this. And for our third tier perk, we're going to be choosing Battle Hardened. Again, armed police typically wear helmets to protect themselves from any incoming fire, as well as protection from falling debris. Helmets are also used for attaching tactical equipment like flashlights when operating in low lit areas. Battle Hardened in Modern Warfare features a protective helmet and helps protect us against stuns, flashbangs and gas grenades, so we'll choose Battle Hardened as our tier 3 and final perk. Moving on now to our equipment. For our lethal equipment, I have chosen the C4. Explosive charges are used by firearms officers to breach into buildings and to shock out enemies from the blast wave. We see these methods of attack during training days and out in the real world if there is a terrorist or potential threat hiding out in a Midlands or Greater London suburb. Another thing we see from CTSFOs is the use of explosives when the sight of a potential suicide vest or suspicious package comes to light. So the C4 explosive will be our lethal equipment. And for our tactical equipment, we're going to go with the stun grenade. When I was watching the Ross Kemp documentary, during training sessions, CTSFOs are seen throwing stun grenades into rooms to disorientate and slow down any hostile reactions, which allows the squad to move in and arrest or take out any terrorists that pose a threat to them. So the stun grenade will be our tactical equipment. So now that we've talked about our perks and equipment, it's time to finish off this loadout by taking a look at our field upgrade of choice and of course our selection of 3 kill streaks. For our field upgrade, I've chosen Dead Silence. CTSFOs typically wear face masks which cover their mouths and noses, and this is so they don't breathe in any toxic gas, dust or debris that can harm their health. They also wear face masks to prevent anyone from recognising them and exposing their identities. In Modern Warfare multiplayer, the Dead Silence field upgrade is the closest thing to match that description, so we'll choose it as our field upgrade for this loadout. Moving on now to our 3 selected kill streaks. For our first kill streak, I've chosen the personal radar. Whenever a terror attack occurs, police helicopters are on the scene within minutes of receiving the first call, and these helicopters are used to track the suspects and guide other officers and the public to safety. The personal radar in Modern Warfare is this helicopter drone that follows you around high above the map to ping you nearby enemies so we can take them out. So we'll choose the personal radar as our first kill streak. For our second kill streak, we're going to be going with the UAV. Again, for similar reasons, CTSFOs are always learning new intel about potential plots, threats and attacks on British society. The UAV drone flies high up around the map and sweeps the minimap for hostile targets in the area, and so we can use that intel to prepare ourselves for what's around the corner. So we'll choose the UAV as our second kill streak. And finally, for our third kill streak, we're going to be choosing the advanced UAV. The Metropolitan Police Service has a huge network of officers that specialise in providing accurate information and intel to each other. Just like the reasons for choosing the UAV, CTSFOs need information quickly and as specifically as possible. Society is more connected now than ever before, and you usually find out about terror attacks or incidents first on social media before the news even breaks it. Many potential terror plots have been foiled because of these officers tracking and monitoring every move these terrorists make, and so we'll equip the advanced UAV as our third and final kill streak so we can visually see on our radar where our targets are hiding. Combining our weaponry, perks, equipment, field upgrade and kill streaks, we will prevent attacks like Piccadilly, put our specialist firearm training to good use, and protect the people of the United Kingdom. So troops, that wraps up my CTSFO loadout video for Modern Warfare. Next time you boot up Modern Warfare multiplayer, definitely give this class setup a try in game and let your enemies hear the sound of the police. If you did enjoy this video, then do give the video a thumbs up, I would appreciate it a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, then why haven't you? Hit subscribe right now, and also while you're doing that, make sure you click on the bell notification icon next to it, so that way you're always notified as to when I make an upload. If you have any friends who might be interested in this sort of content, then definitely share the video around with them to help give my channel and my loadout videos more widespread exposure. And if you want to see behind the scenes previews of my loadout videos, you can follow me on Twitter at jordanxbrookes for all the latest on there. So until the next video, I thank you all for watching, stay true to me troops, and I'll see you in game.
Left door's all you, Sergeant.
Got a personal radar drone ready for escort.